Crispy, buttery, garlic bread. The secret to restaurant-level deliciousness is within reach, and we got a couple of experts to tell us how. It's called garlic bread for a reason, and that bread, it's baked in-house, usually. When it isn't baked by the restaurant, it's been carefully sourced. As Michael Friedman, a James Beard-nominated chef and owner of several Washington, D.C. restaurants explains, we use our house-made focaccia for our garlic bread. Light, chewy, and airy, focaccia toasts really well and soaks up all the garlicky, buttery goodness. People often use baguettes to make garlic bread. Supermarkets usually do it this way. But Steve Chiappetti, executive chef of the Albert and Archive Lounge at Chicago's Hotel EMC2, tells us that baguettes aren't the way forward. As he explains, a baguette is sometimes too dense of a bread, not really allowing the oil and butter to be soaked into the bread itself. Your bread choice can make all the difference, so if you can find some locally made ciabatta or focaccia, you'll probably make your best yet garlic bread.
It's actually a really good garlic bread. Garlic bread is my favorite food. I could honestly eat it for every meal, or just eat it all the time without even stopping.
Part of what makes restaurant garlic bread so delicious is that squidgy, garlicky center. But is it oil or butter that makes it taste so great? Well, it turns out the answer is both. Chiappetti explains, some just use butter, some use olive oil, but the best garlic bread uses both. This is a secret of restaurants that you won't commonly see in the home kitchen. Chiappetti first drizzles the bread with olive oil, then spreads butter across the bread before baking. But not every restaurant uses both oil and butter. Friedman tells us they only use butter at all purpose in Washington, D.C., saying, we essentially make a compound butter with fresh garlic, roasted garlic, oregano, black pepper, and lemon zest. Chiappetti also mentions that using compound butter is a great way of getting an even distribution of ingredients. It's also easy to slather onto bread. The difference between restaurant-level garlic bread and what you make at home could come down to the garlic. Garlic bread from restaurants usually includes at least some fresh garlic. Chiappetti explains, fresh garlic is best. I love to use both fresh and granulated garlic when making my garlic bread. One thing he definitely recommends, avoid garlic powder like the plague. The difference between garlic granules and garlic powder is that powder is fine, while granules are chunkier. It's easy to overdo it with the powdered stuff, which may be part of why it's not good for garlic bread. You might find that some restaurants use a blend of fresh and granulated garlic, but plenty of chefs stay away from the granulated stuff too. Still, they may combine fresh garlic in different forms. Friedman tells us his restaurants use both slivered and roasted. Chefs all have their own preferences for garlic, but if your homemade version doesn't contain any of the fresh stuff, you're doing it wrong. When roasted, garlic takes on a mild, sweet flavor and a soft, spreadable consistency, making it a subtle addition. It can be used on its own, but a combination of sweet roasted garlic and punchy fresh garlic is delicious. Chiappetti recommends storing a jar of roasted garlic and oil in your fridge so you can use it to quickly and easily make garlic bread when you're in the mood. When you want that garlic-infused bread, cut the bread in half and spread it with the cooked garlic and olive oil, a dash of fresh oregano or thyme, and bake. This is a sweeter version of the typical family-style garlic bread. Friedman says roasted garlic confit is an alternative to classic roasted garlic, and one he uses at his restaurants. He explains, we take whole garlic cloves and slowly braise them in olive oil until caramelized. This allows the garlic's natural sweetness to come out, along with a nutty, toasted note that is as delicious as it is addictive. If your homemade garlic bread lacks a certain something, it might be that you're just not going hard enough on the garlic. As Friedman tells us, in a restaurant setting, we likely use a bit more garlic than the average person might when making it at home. Chiappetti also says he's sure he uses much more garlic than a home cook. It's a common mistake. It's easy to be scared of ingredients with bold flavors and use them sparingly. But with something like garlic bread, you should go big or go home. Although not serving garlic bread at all is its own issue.
Uh-oh. Guys, we have a major problem here. No garlic bread.
Moral of the story, you can use more garlic than you probably think. And remember that roasted garlic is significantly milder than fresh, so when you're using it in a recipe, you might need as many as 3 bulbs. That's right, bulbs, not cloves. Salt is another ingredient that people are often scared of. There's many types of salt available, and most people likely don't know how to utilize them all properly. Garlic bread doesn't escape this fate. It's commonly undersalted, making the finished bread bland and boring. We all know that food needs salt to taste good, but why? It's not just that salt makes food taste salty, it also elevates the flavor of other elements. So salt makes garlic more garlicky and butter more buttery. But as Friedman warns, too much salt makes it inedible, and not enough salt makes it a rich, bland mess. In regards to under-seasoning, Chiappetti recommends using kosher salt for larger flakes and more distinct taste. That slight crunch that flakes of kosher salt or sea salt brings contrasts the center of the bread, which can be soft and slightly stodgy. Thinking about texture in this way is just another part of what makes restaurant garlic bread superior. You might think garlic bread just needs garlic, oil or butter, and salt, but the best restaurant garlic bread uses a variety of other seasonings. Expanding seasonings beyond just salt brings a greater depth of flavor, and herbs add a lot to the party as well. As Michael Friedman tells us, we use Sicilian oregano in our garlic butter and finish the garlic bread with fresh parsley for a nice herbal note. Aside from oregano, Friedman seasons garlic bread with lemon zest and black pepper. The pepper brings slightly spicy notes, while the lemon zest adds brightness. Chiappetti also utilizes herbs, saying, "Oregano is my go-to on this dish, but you can mix it up with rosemary or marjoram too." If you're wondering whether to opt for fresh or dry herbs, Chiappetti says, fresh is always bright, brilliant, and robust. Dry is absolutely fine as well, but be careful of the amounts since an overage can give a medicinal flavor. In addition to fresh oregano, Chiappetti uses black pepper and chili flakes to season his garlic bread. So if you want to up your game when making garlic bread at home, embrace herbs and look beyond just salt for seasoning. It's not just the ingredients, it's their overall quality. When you make garlic bread at home, you'll probably pick up whatever you can get at the store. Chefs, on the other hand, are professionals who pore over ingredients and make sure they buy from the best stockists. This can make the difference between decent garlic bread and amazing garlic bread. As Chiappetti explains, "I used to think ingredients were just about recipes, but the real secret to cooking is to get to know your ingredients. Where are they from, and how are they grown?" When looking for quality ingredients, he recommends choosing seasonal products and sourcing them close to home. He looks for local farmers markets and local dairy farmers. Friedman agrees that ingredient quality is important, explaining, "Good ingredients matter. It's important to source well and talk to your purveyors about what's available. If you use subpar ingredients, the end result will be, well, subpar." So for those really serious about making great garlic bread, buy the bread from a local bakery, get herbs and garlic from the farmer's market, and look for butter from an independent dairy. These changes will elevate the recipe, making it so incredible that people won't believe you can get that amount of flavor just from garlic bread.
Garlic bread?